Hello, listeners. Welcome. This is the Uncensored Anime Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is David. We have Kenny and we have Jerry. And today we have a lot of fun things that we're going to be talking about. First off, some discussion points that Jerry wants to open up for us to just have, just a fun discussion. And then we're going to be getting into our two shows of the week, which are Copcraft and A Silent Voice, a series and a movie. So we hope you're all excited for that. And so, Jerry, why don't we get started?
Let's knock it off, boys. So, okay, before we jump too deep, obviously we got to go back to our favorite. It's like our favorite recurring point at this point. Burn the Witch, right? I don't know why, but we just keep bringing it up. It's important to us because we all love Kubo. So David brought it to our attention. David, give us the news. What's the... Huh?
Wait, it's actually really similar to...
Nope. Too early.
No, not yet too early.
But maybe.
So,
it might be really similar. Okay.
I got some news for y'all, beautiful listeners out there. So, by the way, today is September 20th. So, just to give you guys a little peek into the future, Burn the Witch, the animated movie, will be dropping October 1st, 5 p.m. Pacific time. That is less than 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
That we will be watching Burn the Witch in our homes. Mm-hmm. Are you boys excited for that?
We are.
I am
excited. I think it's crazy that they just dropped the last chapter, what 2 weeks ago or something? Week or two ago?
Last week. I think it was last week.
So, I mean, there's only 5 chapters of content. They're pretty good size, though. So, I think it'll make a good, just like film, anime movie. I'd be surprised if the runtime is a full 2 hours, though. I bet it'll be like hour 40, hour 30, something like that. I can't even imagine it's going to be a full 2 hours. But I'm still.
Do you think they're going to sprinkle in any kind of like
hints?
Like any, like sneaks or like hints for what's to come?
I think so.
Oh yeah,
I think so too. They're too. Kubo's being too shitty. Okay, He knows that we're in. He knows that we're all in, and so he's just maybe I'll make some more manga. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep writing.
We'll see how this movie does.
Yeah, I do wonder if they're gonna deviate from the plot of the manga. I'm just curious how much. Because there's no way this manga or this anime film probably was being produced long before these chapters got released to the public. I know we've kind of talked about that before, so I'm really curious: is it going to follow the manga to a T? Did Kubo give them the script ahead of time? Did he give them early versions of the manga ahead of time? If so, how much? How clearly? And maybe if not, what are going to be some of the deviations? Or maybe he only gave them a script a year ago and said, have fun, just copy my style from the one shot I did. I don't know. So I'm really curious what direction they're going to take the film, because they could go a lot of ways with it. So I really am excited. It's a new, fun shonen. I mean, it's a new, fun thing to just I don't know, just the return. It feels like Bleach, I don't know.
Yeah.
It does a lot like Bleach, huh?
I mean, it's basically English Bleach.
Yeah.
So. Or London Bleach.
And we love Bleach. So. Everyone loves Bleach, right? Bleach is still good,
Everyone loves
right,
Bleach.
Guys?
Everybody loves Bleach. Good. Yep. It definitely gave me the end of it,
An interesting thing about it that I didn't even notice, but Jerry mentioned earlier before we started the episode, was that this is being produced and animated by Studio Colorido, which I don't know. I'm looking at their Wikipedia page, and they have done... they did a Pokemon movie.
Yeah.
Which I think that one was good. I think a lot of people liked
Pokemon Twilight Wings.
Yeah.
Well received.
Which that was a movie from this year.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I think
yeah. It could be anything. Yeah, I mean Colorido, we don't know a ton about them, so this could go any direction. The trailer looks pretty though. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on YouTube.
The trailer looks really nice.
Looks good.
Looks really
clean.
The
trailer looks really good. So I hope that it comes out good. And looks nice and adapts Kubo's art style well, because he just has such a unique and vibrant style, especially when it comes to clothing and the way he designs clothing, especially. But so that's rock and roll. I'm excited for Burn the Witch. You guys should be too. If you haven't read it, go read it. If you haven't, or if not, be excited for the film in a couple weeks. I think it's coming straight to Crunchyroll. Am I wrong?
Yep. Straight to Crunchyroll, 5 p.m. Pacific time, October 1st.
Virtual release. That's so interesting. Also, that it's just going to be a virtual simulcasted film. That's really unique.
Yeah.
So
but,
blame the pandemic.
That's the time we live in.
Yeah, that's just the way we live. Yep. Yeah, really excited.
Do you guys think this would be like in theaters if there wasn't a pandemic going on?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Maybe not in America. Maybe in America. I don't freaking know.
We might get a day or something.
Yeah,
a Wednesday
like
and
a special day release or something. But I bet in Japan, probably get a full run in Japan. I can't imagine it wouldn't, unless it was just that. The other film studio Colorado have had film releases, so
like
I don't see
theatrical releases. Yeah,
so I don't see why they wouldn't run this one as well. Okay, cool.
All right.
Burn the witch. Burn the witch. No, we're just. This is welcome back to the Burn the Witch podcast. No, but
we talk about Burn the Witch just as much as we talk about Kenny. What was it?
Yeah, what's the other show we bring up every week?
I don't know, man.
I can't remember. It's kind of slipping my mind a little bit.
How about this? Let's just put it on the table right now. If our YouTube channel, the Uncensored Anime Podcast, ever gets 1,000 subscribers, if we get 1,000 subscribers, I'm setting the bar high. If we get 1,000 subscribers, David, Kenny, and I will go live. We will do a live review of Vampire Knight. We'll go live on YouTube and do a review. We'll watch all of Vampire Knight. We'll do a live review of Vampire Knight. If we ever get 1,000 subscribers.
1,000 though?
I will go on a...
I'm pitching it. I'm throwing it out there right now.
Prior to our live podcast review, I will watch all of Vampire Knight live on camera for everybody to see.
Can you live stream his
marathon
reaction
style
of Vampire Knight?
Yeah. Is that a prize or is that like a
It's a punishment. I think.
Thanks for supporting us. Here's some
Can
shit.
You be like,
here's shit.
Vampire Knight.
Vampire Knight.
Vampires like each other. Serious.
I'm just gonna buy this Vampire Knight shirt. Fuck it. I'm getting
do it. Yeah, do it.
Me too. I need a Vampire Knight shirt.
We are the Vampire Knight podcast. Actually, no. So the one thing I really wanted to chat about tonight that I thought would be just fun to talk about, because it's been on my mind a little bit today, and I was like, oh, this could be a fun just topic, right? Anime openings and ending songs. Okay, they are so iconic. Even in the West, we all know the anime opening and intro. I'd say people that don't even know much about anime know that for some reason, all anime series have a 1.5 minute long, full-blown action sequence. Like it's almost like a trailer for the show with a fully produced song that's just for that TV show, right? American sitcoms have something like it, kind of, sometimes 30 seconds long, though. Maybe not vocals, things like that. But anime show, they always have these mega bops for their intros, and they have a pretty storied history in anime in that, like, they've been doing this for 40, 50 years. Like, it goes all the way back, right? And if you don't know much about, like, the history of anime, some of it is drawn from Disney cartoons, right? The reason why anime characters used to be drawn with, like, really big eyes, and still are to this day, really, actually comes from the OG Disney cartoons, so on and so forth. So, but there doesn't seem to be any precedence for anime openings and ending songs in, like, the main, like, if you go back, like, there doesn't seem to be, like, a major precedence for there to be a 1.5 minute, like, freaking blast of a song designed for the show. So it just sort of happened, and it's just a part of the culture, right? Every show has it. You get excited for it. It's kind of your way to, I feel like anytime I want to watch a new anime, I'll go watch the opening song to see if I want to get stoked on it, or I'll watch through the opening on the first episode. It feels like a trailer and an exciting part of it. So I thought it'd be great if us boys talked a little about anime openings, anime endings, that kind of stuff. What are our favorites? Yep. Who are some of the bands that stand out to us? I think all of us are big fans of music in general, especially anime music. So I think just taking some time to highlight a couple of our solid choices. What do you guys think? What when you think anime openings, who do you go to? Who are your go-tos? What are your go-tos?
So before we start the discussion, we can't have this discussion without mentioning Tank from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah.
Probably one of the most legendary anime openings.
Which is by, I want to say, what's the name of the band? Is it the Seatbelts?
Seatbelts.
Yeah.
No, that the real folk blues is by the Seatbelts.
Oh,
wait, do they also make Tank though?
Seatbelts is Tank.
Oh shit!
They are.
Okay.
Real folk blues is also
Real folk blues. Cowboy Bebop ending is also an amazing.
It's Seatbelts and Yoko Kanno. That's the lady, that's on the vocals. Yeah.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop just musically overall is just amazing.
Right. As well as Samurai Champloo. Battle Cry is a fucking bop.
Honestly, any opening ending from the OG Shonen Big Three, so like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, like all of those songs were. I don't think I've heard an opening or ending from those shows and didn't like it.
Right.
After Dark, fucking Alones.
Oh,
Asterisk, obviously.
I think that Bleach stands out to me as like the more musically inclined show. It's the show that I think had better music than the other two. Naruto has a couple bops. One Piece.
Yeah, of the three, it would go Bleach, One Piece, Naruto.
Yes, I think that's my exact ranking as well. But I think that all three of them are known for just having a lot of really solid opening and ending songs that are sort of iconic at this point. I mean, think about the one Naruto opening song that everybody knows now. Jesus, how does it go?
Son.
Oh, it's like that.
No, not that one.
Which one? There's so many. Bluebird. Wait, is it Shippuden or Naruto?
It's from
like original Naruto.
It's from Shippuden. Can't even
think
of what it's called. No, that's pretty good.
Is it that one?
No. I got
Bluebird.
You guys are killing me.
Come on, Jerry. You gotta get it.
Is this a portion of us mumbling through anime over there?
Okay, it's the one that's like.
Oh, that one.
Nanimo.
That was a really, really good one.
Is that one the most famous?
The only reason I want to say that it is that it got used by Frank's anime intro.
Yeah.
And so it got millions and millions of views from that. And now it's kind of it's like the go-to when like someone's making like a parody anime intro. It's like the go-to parody intro song. Yeah. I think that's like there's like silly like political anime intros that use that song.
Yeah.
I want to.
There's random YouTubers I've seen that use that as like the anime song.
It's like the anime song now. It's like this generation's like when there's like a anime song you're trying to come up with, that's the one they go to. And I think it's iconic. I think it really is. Like the more that I listen to it,
it's a great song.
It's a good opening. They did a good job with it.
Yeah.
But I do think Bleach is the outlier, and I think that they have sort of spinned off. There's the first band I want to talk about from anime intros is UNRAVELED. Do you guys know what UNRAVELED is?
Yep.
Is that Death Note?
No. So
yeah, they do.
The first. Well, they might have done Death Note. I don't know, but
they do Death Note opening too.
The first anime song they ever did, their first Annie song was D Techno Life, the second opening to Bleach, which is a really solid opening, right? You know, it's like and that was back in like 2004 or something.
Wait, you were just mumbling. You were just saying the words.
Sorry, I actually know the lyrics.
You know the lyrics.
I've heard it a couple times. But I started thinking about UNRAVELED and how their career. I don't know much about them prior. I don't know much about them. I know that they've continued to do a lot of anime intros. They did a Seven Deadly Sins intro. They did a My Hero intro.
They did Peace Sign, right?
For My Hero, what's that? Is that from My Hero?
Oh shit, is that?
That's the My Hero one, though.
Yeah.
They
have a very popular.
Wait, that's the same.
It's the same band.
That's crazy.
It's the same band.
That's crazy.
They had a couple other really successful anime intros, but I'm just curious, like, you know, from our perspective as anime fans, like, we see UNRAVELED as just an anime band. I don't know much about their external music. I don't know how popular they are in Japan, honestly. No idea. What I do know is that they are, like, the master of the anime intro. Like, you could pull them in to do any freaking shonen, and they'd probably pull out a bop, dude. Like, just seeing all the bops that they've done for anime music, I'm like, like UNRAVELED, they're top tier. Like if I hear UNRAVELED's on a show, then I'm ready for it.
Or two other ones, Asian Kung Fu Generation or Flow. Listen, Colors by Flow is.
Flow did.
Is that Shippuden opening?
Yeah, no, that's Code Geass.
It's Code Geass, but you're right. Flow did a Shippuden opening too, dude.
They did opening 4 for the original, and they did.
Oh yeah, they did an opening for the first show. They did.
They did Go.
Go, yeah.
Oh.
No, wait, was it not Fighting Dreamers?
We are fighting dreamers.
Oh, they did Fighting Dreamers. Oh wow.
Flow,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah.
But they did Colors, okay? And let me tell you, that song, that one gets me hype, okay?
No, I listen
wait.
It's hype.
Have we also can't forget, and I'm biased because Black Lagoon's one of my favorite animes, but I'm so
You're talking about the first intro to Black Lagoon?
Yeah, it's sang by, I had that song on my playlist forever when I was younger.
I actually know what it is too, and I think
it was Red Fraction.
Yes, I
by
know
Mel.
The song on the top of my head, but I'm like...
And that song, so Red Fraction by Mel, if you listeners have not heard that song, you need to just Google Black Lagoon opening cinematic and just listen to it and watch it.
It's pretty solid.
It's amazing. It's amazing. For me, generally openers and endings, like, even though it's like the same song from episode to episode, usually like in an arc or within a season, it's the same opening. It gets me like hyped up and like excited to watch the show. Mm-hmm. So for me, if an opening is shit, I kind of like go into watching the show not in a bad mood, but I'm like, eh. And that's like the same feeling I had with Log Horizon, which we discussed in our previous episode. Log Horizon's opening was shit. And then, I mean, there's lots of things.
Database.
There's a lot of other things wrong with Log Horizon, but that song going into a not well done show, in my opinion, is just going lower and lower and lower into the ground of just like just badness. So watching something and like the opening is good and the show might be meh, I'll still continue happily watching the show because I'm gonna listen and watch the opening.
Yeah.
So an opening is a very strong tool. Endings, I mean, they're easily skippable, even if they are really good. I treat them the same as openers. Like if I like the song, I'll listen to the ending all the way through.
Yeah.
I think my favorite ending songs actually come from Bleach. I think Bleach has some of the best ending songs. They've got a couple
Happy People.
Homemade Kazaku?
The first ending song to Bleach that goes like, nobody knows who I really am.
Oh, Life is Like a Boat?
I never felt this empty before. That song is like ingrained in my brain. It's like, when I think of anime, like that song feels just like a big anime song to me. It's crazy. I was looking up Mel David just now. Her most popular song ever is Red Fraction. She's never produced another song that has met the level of popularity as that song, which is wild.
I mean, that song is really fucking good. It's a really good.
Interesting to think that her career both started because it was like one of her first singles ever, and essentially ended with that song. She has not been able to match that, and I just feel bad for her because she's a good singer. She actually has done openings for Hayate the Combat Butler, Ride Back, Shakugan no Shana, and Sky Girls, which I've actually not seen any of those shows. But of all those shows, I mean, so she continued to do anime music, but it just doesn't seem like she's been able to kick her career back off, and it seems like she's mostly retired at this point, or pretty much done. And that happens. I'm sure that happens to a lot of people that get into the industry. They're doing an anime song, and that's kind of it for them. They do one or two, and then they don't really do much else, which I've found that to be a thing. But I think there's two other people that I want to talk about that sort of established, to me, at least in my mind, what an Annie song is, right? And I think that's Hironobu Kageyama, who is the vocalist that sings Cha-La from Dragon Ball Z. And I think that no matter who you are in the anime community, if you don't know Cha-La Head Cha-La, like that is one of those things that like you have to go listen to, right?
Hold on.
Come on, David. It's like Cha-La Head Cha-La.
I'm just gonna listen to this as I'm on the podcast.
He's crazy because he's got these huge vocals. Hironobu Kageyama, and he went on to do, I mean, he has just done an insane number of anime songs. And I'm talking just an absurd amount. Kageyama, and it's always like those very hype, old, 90s type of songs. There's just so much going on with Kageyama. I think he's got the vocals. He's just crazy. I would love to see someone like Kageyama in concert. I think he's just crazy. He's much older. He's almost 60 now. But that's the type of person that when I think established the anime song genre, he's a big part of it. And I think another person who is not as iconic maybe, but I think that he kind of embodies the Annie song, or like the anime song, is Hiroshi Kitadani, who is the vocalist that sings We Are from One Piece. And I think that that's another song that is very much like establishing of the genre of anime songs, right? Like, we are on the cruise. We are, it's just it's designed for.
That's like One Piece's theme.
Yeah, it's designed for One Piece. It was made for One Piece, and it makes you feel like you're watching One Piece. Like you are so ready for a One Piece thing to happen. And he's done some other anime songs. I'm not sure what all he has done over the years for anime, but I know he has come back and done some more songs for One Piece. I believe he did Weekend and Over the Top, which are both really bop level, just bop level of anime songs, recent anime songs. But I think both of them have sort of just established the genre. What is the Annie song? What does that look like? and in some ways just established like J-pop. I don't know. I feel like when I listen to other J-pop, it does seem like there's some influence from the anime song genre. Like I think that, or it's the other way around. Anime songs are influenced by J-pop, and that's probably more the correct answer. But for me, it feels like the other way because all I know about J-pop comes from anime songs first and foremost, which is weird. So I don't know what that means for me. But yeah, I love everyone we mentioned. You know, Overworld, Flow, Mel. You know, all these iconic people that have just done so many crazy. And I just don't think there's an equivalent in America. Like, can you guys think of anything that's like someone gets famous or like gets an opportunity to do music because they got their song on the front of an anime show? Like that feels
no.
Yeah, like there's not.
I was thinking about this of like, what if America had, or like just Western audiences had the same thing where they like had, you know, Western created cartoons and the opening song was like a fucking Kanye song or something like that.
Right.
Like what that would kind of be like our equivalent. And when I think of that, like that's weird.
Yeah.
But then it's the exact same thing that's happening in anime.
What about this? Let's think of the only one. This is my only American equivalent. All Star by Smash Mouth. Think about it. Smash Mouth wasn't a big band. They get their song on the front of Shrek.
Fucking Shrek.
Animated movie. And that's Shrek's,
okay.
That's Shrek's intro song, right?
I thought you were memeing, but that's actually a really good comparison.
It's an example, right? That's Shrek's intro music.
Yeah.
And Smash Mouth did Smash Mouth become a huge famous band? No, not really. But that song become iconic.
But like that put them on a map.
Put them way on the map. I mean, like, that's the only reason they were able to they still make music, by the way, which is weird. But
yeah, they do. They tour. Yeah.
And nowadays,
it's like their only good song, I think.
Yeah, nowadays though,
I've listened to a few.
It's the reverse, right? So like most cartoon movies in America don't take a risk by putting a new artist on the map. They instead employ an incredibly famous artist to actually boost the profile of their movie. Thinking about Spider-Verse, right? Pulling in Post Malone and who's the kid on Sunflower?
Sway Lee,
yeah.
Sway Lee and Post Malone to do the theme for Spider-Man. I can't think of any others. I already hit a wall. I feel like there was another cartoon movie that had, you know what I mean, though.
Those Trolls movies had.
Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake made made songs for Trolls.
Yep.
And Happy was that for Minions?
It was. Yep. Happy from Pharrell was for Minions. Thank you, David. You saved my ass there.
Okay.
I was like, I felt like I knew there was other examples, but my brain like.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
But I think that they're mainly for movies, I think. But for thinking of like just TV shows, it's not common at all.
Right.
I can't even think of I'm trying to think like if there's anything. I mean, like they're obviously catchy and iconic, like American cartoon theme songs. Like one that's been in my head all week is the Danny Phantom theme song. You know, like, yo, Danny Phantom, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It's just like, it's an iconic theme song.
Fairly Odd Parents, also iconic.
But it didn't help put the band or the musical artist on the map or really give them much exposure. I mean, I couldn't tell you who the artists that created those songs were. I know that the guy who sings the first Pokemon theme song in America, which is an anime, I get it, but, you know, we changed the theme completely for America. The American singer, he doesn't really do anything. He's just, you know, I've seen him do, like, weird videos like, where's the Pokemon singer 20 years later? Stuff like that on YouTube. But it just makes me think. We don't really have an equivalent. I wonder if we could. I wonder if we should. I don't know. Yeah.
I just had a thought about something, and also can't forget to mention for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, what's that song called? I think it's called "Gotta Go Fast" or something by Lil Yachty.
I love that one. Yeah. That's
I Run. I think it's what it's called.
America's practice is definitely reversed, right? Like, they in Japan, it seems like they put unknown artists in a situation, even for anime films, and well, maybe not always. I feel like anime films do use some established artists, but for shows, it does seem like they're willing to kind of help a band get their start or get their moment. But in reverse, in America, we're all about using pre-established people to help boost the profile of our project, which is, it's whatever. I mean, it seems like animation. I watched a really great video essay about how animation has drifted towards that. How it used to be unknown actors that were always voicing stuff in Disney movies, and now, voice actors, and now it's like every animated film has this like star-studded cast. It's like people that, I heard, that part of it's like Hollywood trying to appeal to the parents. So it's like the parents are going to be more, if freaking Bill Hader is the voice of a chicken in some animated movie, they're going to be more excited to take their 4-year-old to see Bill Hader, because they can laugh because, Bill Hader, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting that it's shifted that way, while Japanese animation has kind of... Now, Japanese animation, it's really tough to become a voice actor in Japan. They have it's a very competitive field and a very, very strenuous process. That's why I think that's why they have such a quality level of voice acting. But in the reverse, they're more willing to take a risk on unknowns. One Piece even has a whole thing where like these guys who were like fans. You guys know this story? I'll tell the podcast the story. One of the intros to One Piece,
I don't think I know it.
One of the intros to One Piece is during the Paramount War. I believe the story goes like this. Don't quote me on this. If I mess this up, listeners, feel free to correct me. I'm just off memory. I remember this sort of happening, and I'm certain that I'm misquoting it in some ways. But the song "One Day," I believe it was called, is an anime intro for One Piece, and I believe that the band was pretty unknown, but they really, really wanted to do an intro for One Piece. They were big fans of the series, and they either submitted or went through some process to just get themselves in front of the group that was doing it, and was like, hey, we really want to get one of our songs on the show. It's really important to us. We're huge fans. The series had such an impact on us, and they were able to get their song on there just by sort of lobbying to get a song on the show. Don't know what happened to the band afterwards. Don't know much about their story afterwards, or if they were able to pick up. But it's a beautiful intro. One of my favorite intros of One Piece, actually, and was perfectly utilized as the intro during the Paramount War. I won't spoil it, but if you're a fan of One Piece, you know what the Paramount War is. And yeah, great use of fans and people in the people that are fans of these series being able to get the opportunity to put their mark on the series. And I think that's crazy. That's super cool. One Piece also had a really popular K-pop band way before the K-pop craze. They came on and did one of the One Piece intros. It's like
probably my favorite One Piece opening.
That's crazy. It's like that's the one that's like,
is that Share the World?
Everybody, always share the music.
Yep.
Come on,
it's such a good opening. The opening is also like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a long opening.
I love it.
That's whenever One Piece cut. That was the first one that they cut endings, and they just tacked it onto the intro.
Yeah, the intros got longer because the endings got cut from One Piece.
Yeah, they cut the endings out.
Toei's actually started to do that across a lot of their shows. They aren't doing indie songs anymore. They're doing extended intros, is what I'm under the impression of. I believe that they're doing that on one of their Sailor shows or something. I don't Yeah, it's a thing One Piece does. I like it because you can just front load. You just skip everything at the front, and then once the show starts, you just have to watch everything. If you're marathoning, it's easier to skip ahead or to move.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to worry.
I just love. I like endings.
Yeah, I mean,
like Copcraft, like a show that we're about to talk about today.
Yeah,
I think I both their opening and ending songs I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
they're both really good.
Okay,
let me shout out some openings. Beck Magoli and Chops Gods, Hitting the USA, fucking bop. Yu Yu Hakusho's, obviously, Smile Bomb, fucking bop.
Hell yeah, Smile Bomb.
Smile Bomb is one of the best.
Smile Bomb is
English openings for anime ever made. I will say it up and down. Even the Japanese version is great. The English version is great. They are both amazing, guys.
Pegasus of Fantasy, that's a fucking bop. Saint Seiya did it right.
Who did that?
I don't know the name of that band.
I'll look it up.
Come on, I just watch anime. Okay. Kinnikuman intro. Kinnikuman Go Fight. Fucking bop.
You also can't forget to mention all of the current JoJo openings. Every single opening. Every single ending from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Fucking bop.
Stand Proud is one.
Stand Proud.
They're all good. The second opening from the original Hunter x Hunter anime.
Oh, damn.
Is amazing.
Okay, yeah. All you new Hunter x Hunter fans, sit down. Go watch that opening. It is the best. I wish that opening had been used in the new show's freaking spider art, because it sets the mood so well.
Yeah.
Oh, the tone. Oh my god, the tone of that song.
Hunter x Hunter's opening, fucking
all the current ones are really good too. Any song by Yui,
Oh yeah.
So Rolling Star,
Hanabi.
Yes, you did Full Metal.
A song on Full Metal. Full Metal.
Yeah.
Any by Lisa? Any opening by Lisa?
Lisa did
Bob.
Demon Slayer, I think.
She
Did. Demon Slayer opening. I think it's Gringe.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Gringe.
Yeah, Gringe.
I think it's called.
She killed that one.
You're right.
FMA, the one that Nico Touches the Wall does. I think it's opening 3. Fucking Bob. Okay.
We're just shouting out.
And honestly, they're only known for Fully Cooley, but The Pillows is an amazing band.
Oh yeah.
Everything that they've done for anime is beautiful.
Everything. Yep. Shokugeki no Soma, ending 1. This is one that flying right under the radar. Ending 1 to Food Wars. I fucking love that song. I don't know why. I just really enjoy it. Okay.
So listeners out there, why don't you do us a favor in the comment section below? Just share your favorite opening or ending song. Well, we're gonna read them all. I'm just genuinely curious what.
And if you tell me it's Tokyo Ghoul's opening, fuck off. Okay.
Honestly, Vampire Knight.
If you tell me it's Love Horizon's opening, fuck off.
Database. No.
Database. Okay, living in a database.
It's just every like opening song, like it's like, oh, under the radar, good opening songs. Every single goddamn one is like, you ever heard Tokyo Ghoul's opening? I'm like, yes, I've heard it. Okay, listen, it's not.
I actually haven't. I should.
No, everybody.
It's Unravel. It's like how does it go, Kenny?
It starts out with no instrumental. It's all just Japanese words. I don't actually know the word.
No, I know how it goes. I was just singing it the other day. It's pretty wild.
Yep.
Why is my cat crazy, y'all?
You know, cats be that way. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about before we jump into Copcraft, we're going to be really quick. Some of you might be basketball fans, so we wanted Kenny's perspective on this. Because Kenny loves basketball. He loves anime. A friend of mine shared these in a Discord I'm in. I thought they were really funny, and I wanted to put them here on the podcast just so that you guys could, speculate yourself if you're a fan of Shonen and you're a fan of basketball. But a buddy of mine shared these, so a couple really interesting ones. Someone was comparing basketball icons to anime, and they were saying that Michael Jordan is Dragon Ball. Okay, you can't actually see the pictures, so I'm screwing this up. But, there's some comparisons, ran the 90s, da-da-da. I'm not going to read all of them, but you can probably Google them and find them. So they said, like, Jordan's Dragon Ball, right? And then they assigned what I consider sort of the next GOAT, right? So LeBron is One Piece, which is like the follow-up GOAT. So from Jordan to LeBron, right? So, one GOAT to the next. They call him LeBron Piece on the image, which I think is really funny. And then you've got the other sort of runners in this, which is Kobe Bryant being compared to Naruto. Rest in peace, Kobe. Him being compared to Naruto as Narutobi Bryant. And then
we can't see the tag, Kenny.
I gotta okay.
And then a couple other. So those are sort of the three GOATs to me, right? Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball. Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, which I think is a pretty good comparison. And then went a little more niche. Steph Curry being compared to My Hero Academia, My Curry Academia. Which I think is long after Naruto and One Piece.
That makes sense.
There will be a Steph and a Deku, so someone compared the two of them. Sleepers of the Craft saying that, I'm forgetting. Oh, Carmelo Anthony. I was like, who is this guy? I was like, it's Carmelo Anthony when he was on the Heat, I believe, with LeBron. Is that right, Kenny?
That's Dwayne Wade. Okay.
Dwayne Wade. You're right. I messed it up. Dwayne Wade. Being compared to, he was on the team with, he was on the Heat with Bosch, right?
LeBron James and Chris Bosh.
Yeah. Chris Bosh. Okay, yeah, I knew that. I was reading.
Dwayne Wade actually he won one with Shaq.
Like, what the hell? They compared Dwayne Wade to Full Metal, which I think is very interesting. That one is.
I do think Dwayne Wade's a great basketball player, and more people should respect that. So,
wait, what did they even call this one? So the Full Metal one, they didn't actually give it like a name.
I know that,
like My Curry Academia, Nard. Okay, then they have Tim Cowboy Bebop Duncan, which I think is pretty funny. If you know Tim Duncan from the Spurs,
hasn't he been there? Tim Duncan is
Is he still playing or is he retired now? I feel like he played for free.
No, he retired 2 years ago. He's coaching for the Spurs.
Played for a long ass time. And then we've also got Allen Iverson compared to Inuyasha, which I think is pretty interesting as well. Shaq compared to Yu Yu Hakusho. I thought that was also a really fun comparison. And then Asta Black Clover being compared to James Harden. Josta Harden. What the heck? That's what they called it on here. Overall, I thought they were really fun comparisons if you're a fan of basketball, if you're into the basketball season right now, anime as well. Kenny, what do you think of these comparisons? Do you think they're accurate? I thought they were all pretty funny and accurate. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't really swap any around. I think they're pretty good representation. I think it's funny they didn't assign anyone to Bleach. Kenny, do you think someone would be the Bleach of basketball? Is there a Bleach of basketball players?
Who is somebody that went out early?
Oh, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin.
David said, "Yep, that's my only guy."
That's a basketball player.
I'm trying to think. Do you think there's a good Bleach comparison? I think it's funny.
I don't know. Maybe somebody that went out a little early.
Kenny's like,
I don't because Bleach was like really good, and then was sort of done.
I feel like it lasted longer than it should have. It lasted past its prime, but something that came out around the time One Piece and Naruto did. So who was in the Kobe and LeBron generation?
Oh, bro, you could compare it. You could compare it to like Dirk, okay?
Like Dirk Nowitzki. That's not bad.
Everybody knew Dirk was good. Dirk was a great basketball player, and he won a championship. But he got really old really fast, and he was hurt running up and down. He was hurt and running up and down the court.
Right.
What about like Kevin Durant? Who we compare Kevin Durant?
Can KD be someone like Fairy Tale or something?
I feel like
trader copycat.
It has to be something where at least I can answer this one pretty confident. I feel like with KD, it has to be something that was liked, and then all of a sudden, like their entire fan base just
dropped off.
Like there was a change that happened, and then the entire fan base just
dropped.
So maybe KD's Bleach. I don't know.
Maybe KD's Bleach. Maybe is he? I feel like he just was a little after LeBron. He's definitely in when LeBron was in his prime. KD was playing against him. You're right.
Correct, but KD was young then.
Yeah, so but that would make sense because One Piece is older than Bleach. Not a bad comparison.
Yeah.
So maybe KD is Bleach, but maybe KD is something like Attack on Titan.
Maybe. I hate Attack on Titan.
Because Attack on Titan started really high, really popular. It dived off in the middle, and now.
I figured it out. KD is Sword Art Online. Okay.
No, that's
fuck Sword Art Online.
KD can't be Sword Art, but I think Attack on Titan's not a bad comparison for KD. I think that Fairy Tail maybe, but I think you could put Fairy Tail somewhere else. Who else was kind of do you think deserves like a comparison, Kenny? I'm trying to think who the kind of the runners in the game are in the NBA. Maybe we pick an NBA player and try to pull it over. What do you think? Who are we
thinking? Like Fresh Boys or like I don't know.
I'm thinking
Jimmy Buckets. Hey, Jimmy's doing good right now.
Who's been going hard for a good amount of time that you think is starting to kind of? I mean, obviously, I think Kevin Durant is one of those players. Obviously, they already got Steph Curry from My Hero Academia. I think that's a really good comparison.
I think we're at this weird point in the NBA right now where a lot of the superstars are older, and a lot of the young guys are just now coming up. So we've gotten a little bit of them, but not a lot of them to be like. Some of these guys I'm pretty sure are going to be fucking superstars, but we are 2, 3, 4 years into their careers and not quite, we're not quite at a point where I can be like, oh, that's like this one.
Yeah. Who would be Chainsaw Man?
Chainsaw Man?
Trae Young.
Come on. Hallelujah.
Or Luka. Yeah. Trae Young, Kenny, come on. He's also an up-and-comer. Brand new, right off the bench, right off.
I think Trae Young's a great basketball player. He's gonna do great, but Hallelujah.
I think Luka's the best rookie, but Trae Young is the second best rookie, right?
Well, Luka's not a rookie. Okay.
Oh, what?
We're in their This was their sophomore season.
No, I know this was. I'm talking about like when they were rookies. Like it was like they came in together. They both got picked for the big team, the big rookie teams or whatever. But Luka was just considered a little bit better than Trae and was definitely playing on a better team. Luka was playing on a better team.
He was playing on a better team. I do have to the Hawks are ass.
Yeah, Trae kind of ended up on just a rough team, but his stats were still impressive. So maybe Trae and Luka are up and comers. Maybe Luka's Demon Slayer because Demon Slayer's already kind of over, but
everybody talks about Zion right now. Everybody's sold on Zion. He's fucking huge.
Oh, I know about Zion, yeah. Maybe he's also one of those ones, that Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer, those up and comers. The
John Morant. I love that. I'm really interested in the Grizzlies coming up. So
I dig it. Okay, well, I just thought that was a fun comparison. I thought it was fun. If people who are fans of basketball, maybe nobody who's listening to this as a fan of basketball, they just want to listen to anime, and they're like, "Yeah, cool."
I don't know shit about basketball.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't either. But
actually, Jerry, something just happened the other day in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. A guy was in his shooting motion and caught a pass and shot a 3, like in Kuroko no Basket. He very genuinely was in the middle of his shooting motion, and they passed the ball into his hand, and he shot it. There's a clip.
What kind of
promise
anime as?
I promise. Duncan Robinson was in the middle of his shooting motion and caught a pass in the middle of it and shot the 3. It's a ridiculous clip.
I think it's also interesting because there are some NBA players that are really big fans of anime. One that I remember got a lot of attention is when long hair guy from the Thunder. I can't even think of his name.
Who? Steven Adams?
Steven Adams. He did that interview after one of the games, one of the finals or conference finals, and they were like, "Steven, like, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm watching One Piece" or something like that. And he was like watching it on his phone, and they were like, "What?" He was like, "I'm watching One Piece, the anime." And it's a really funny. If you can find it, definitely.
There's a clip of Joel Embiid watching Dragon Ball Super literally before a game.
That's so cool, and I think that's cool. I think there's overlap, just like how there's overlap between anime and hip hop culture. I think there's there's sport and anime overlap as well. I mean, think about all the very impressive sports animes that are out there, but then just the overlap in the shonen genre and in some of the fandoms that go along with sports fandoms. So I think that it's worth talking about as sort of the overlap between anime and sports fans because, there is an overlap, even if it's not talked about very much. It does exist, and I think it's really cool to look at. I know like a lot of NFL players have been getting some deals with like Crunchyroll where they're actually coming to conventions. There's one really popular NFL player, I'm forgetting his name, who does cosplay a lot, and I think he cosplayed as like, gosh, don't quote me. I want to say it was either Raikage or the Killer Bee from Naruto. He did a really cool cosplay of him. I can't remember which character though. That great memory.
And you can't remember which player, okay?
Yeah, I'm like it was a guy and he cosplayed as a Naruto character. But he's famous. He was famous prior to doing that. So great. But yeah, there's overlap. I think it's always fun to talk about that stuff. I really like the images that were shared, so I thought it was just funny.
Were you thinking of Mike Daniels?
Is that the guy? Did you find his cosplay?
Yep.
Is it
looks pretty good.
Who did he cosplay?
He cosplayed as Raikage.
It was the Raikage. Okay, I was like,
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I love this cosplay.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I love this cosplay. Yeah, I think he's he plays for the Packers.
He's big as fuck too. Holy shit.
Plays for the Bengals now.
Okay, he played for the Packers.
Drafted
big as fuck.
He's big. He knocks Raikage out of the park, dude.
Yeah.
Really nailed it. But I thought that was cool. Cool stuff. Okay, let's get into our shows tonight. Right. We are deep in.
Time for Copcraft.
We took 40 minutes talking about random stuff, so anime intros really got us off the walls. Let's talk Copcraft. I don't think we're going to have a lot of... I mean, we're going to have opinions about it. We always have opinions about this stuff. So we'll see how long we go on Copcraft. But Copcraft was a short show. So can you give us our overview? What was Copcraft about?
So Copcraft, you get introduced to this city called Santa Teresa. There was a interdimensional gate that opens in the middle of the ocean, and these sort of elven creatures start to come over after, I believe they said it's 2 wars that happened, or 1 war. Relations with humans and these, what are they? They're not called, the Durini are what the elves call them, right? The elves are called...
Cimmerians.
Cimmerians
is probably how it's pronounced, yeah.
But these elves have begun to live among humans in our Earth. It's a classic reverse isekai. But it's a little more gritty, and it's definitely a cop show. It follows that sort of formula. So we're introduced to Talarna, who is she's a royal knight from the elven world. And she gets...
I don't even remember. Does it give the world a name? Do you guys remember?
I think it's called Samarnia or whatever.
Maybe it is Samarni.
Samarni. But
so the people are Samanian.
Samanian.
The place is called
Samani, I believe.
Samani.
Yeah.
Okay. So she is then paired up with a American detective in Santa Teresa. And they become partners after, through some circumstances, Kay's previous partner is killed. And they sort of unravel this first little adventure together. And because of that, they sort of stick together and become new partners, and it's, you get that classic fish out of water stuff with Talarna as she learns about, Santorisa and our human world. We actually never go over to Samani. We never get to see the Elven homeworld.
Nope.
But it's just it's that sort of, and then I would honestly say if you've seen Bright with Will Smith, it has a similar sort of.
That's true. Oh, good comparison, Kenny.
Similar sort of theming and whatnot. But,
it's kind of weird. Yeah. This came out so much before Bright. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's very similar, especially since it's buddy cop too. Like it's, they're just partners or whatever.
Yeah, just instead of the cop's buddy being a buff alien, it's a 18-year-old total waifu. That's, I mean, who needs two dudes when you can just team the dude up with a little naive Talarna Exodilica badass, badass waifu. But that's anime for you. So, boys, what do we think?
I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Kenny. So, boys, what did we think? I mean, just initial reactions. What did you think after you popped in and finished up Copcraft? By the way, it was only 12 episodes. Just came out last year. Ran from July to September of 19. So about a little over a year ago is when it ended. Or shoot, a little under a year ago is when it wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, only 12 episodes, adapted by a studio named Millipenes, which I will say
Millipensi
caught a lot of flack
for
their adaptation of Berserk that they did in 3D.
Yeah.
In 2016, they caught a lot of hatred, I would say.
Berserk the anime
for their very poorly handled Berserk adaptation, which is unfortunate because the same director handled Copcraft as well. Shin Itagaki is the director credited for both shows. Actually credited for every TV series that Millipenes, that company, has done. But these are ex-employees from the old company Shaft and Gainax. You probably have heard Gainax because they did a lot of early 2000s anime. So I'm sure that...
Right?
Huh?
Did they do Big O?
Potentially. I want to say they did Ghosts. I want to say that pretty much any, like Trinity Blood, like all those anime that hit back in the early 2000s, I feel like overall they were doing... They had some hand in them. Gainax was just all over the place in the early 2000s. Kenny, you're back.
Yeah.
Gainax, Kenny, what I was saying was, Gainax just all over the place, did a lot of shows. These are ex-employees from there, but Shin Itagaki seems to be their main director, and that's the person who handled Copcraft and handled Berserk, the same director. So, what do you think, boys? Initial feelings after wrapping up the 12 episodes of Copcraft.
So, can you go first?
No, okay, so I think my biggest complaint with the show, I don't think it was really bad. But I just I don't like how they paced it. I felt like the episodes were sort of disjoint and they almost didn't move at the pace that you wanted. In the center, like 3 episodes sort of just forget about things, or like the spoilers obviously for Copcraft, but there's like this subplot. There's a subplot episode with the mayor, and then he's just sort of forgotten about, and then he comes back and he gets murdered. And you're like, you sort of become disjoint from these characters, and I don't know if that was... I do think it was probably a aspect of the adaptation and not necessarily the story itself. And so I didn't knock it that much, and if you watch it back to back consecutively, it's really not that big of an issue, It's only 12 episodes too, so it doesn't take away too much from it, but I do think that if you were stopping every week, I would feel very weird watching it like that. I think that it would I probably would have stopped watching it if I was watching it week to week.
You've kind of got an initial set of episodes that like lays the base for the plot. Then you've got this middle chunk of episodes that is like sort of, it felt like side stories, other parts of the light novels that they adapted, and then the back half, which sort of wraps up the plot introduced in the first couple episodes. So you kind of just get some miscellaneous character development and side stories in the middle, which I think could be like lead-ins for later plots from the light novels, especially the vampire girl arc part.
Right.
I bet that gets further fleshed out in a later light novel, but they do eventually wrap up the Zalata arc, which sort of is in the first 3 episodes, and then the back 3 or 4 episodes. The middle plot is kind of miscellaneous yeah, I mean, there's one episode that I really hated. That it was like an episode and a half that I really hated, comparatively to the rest of the show.
It was prior to the opening finishing, or to the opening playing. That arc is totally done, and it's like almost totally forgotten about, like it didn't even happen.
Yeah. Okay, David, what were your initial thoughts jumping in?
So initially, I've never heard of it, so I didn't really have any expectations going into it. The opening was pretty fire, so it got me excited to that first episode. I was like, okay, I'm excited to see what I'm about to see, and the whole so San Teresa, it's called San Teresa, right? It's like on an island.
Yeah.
So it's like on an island. It's like kind of like I guess like a pseudo San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it was kind of giving me the same type of vibes from watching like the beginning of Banana Fish, where it just reminded me of that setting.
Yeah.
The first thing that like stepped out to me that was really weird was I was like, why are they using CGI for all these cars?
Oh my, yeah.
The CGI was like, and there was also just random moments where they would CGI the people.
Yeah.
And that looked triple bad. It just looked really awful. So that was like my first kind of like, well, that's kind of weird. And then
it don't happen in the first couple episodes, though. I think.
No, there are some moments even in the back half where you see CGI.
Really?
This company.
Yeah, I mean, it's in every single episode, but it's like very short scenes where they do. It's like kind of subtle.
They're pretty over reliant. This company's pretty over reliant on CGI, unfortunately. If you look at their whole catalog, Millipenny's really
right.
Yeah, but go on, David.
So where was I going? Yeah, so the characters like seemed like I watched the English dub. So Kenny and Jerry watched the sub. I watched the dub.
Mm-hmm.
The dub wasn't bad. There are some very like stereotypical characters in the show, which I was kind of like, that's kind of weird. For example, there's a priest guy, and he's like talking in Ebonics, kind of like in the dub. I don't know if that's just like how the character's written, or if it's just like the dub itself.
No, I'd say arguably the sub even kind of had him speaking in Ebonics. Honestly, he definitely.
Yeah, so it's on the writer.
The character was pretty like black stereotypes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So there's two characters where Kay, who's the main character, and what's her girl's name?
Talarna,
Exidelica, are two main character cops. There's multiple times where they need to get help from this. Basically, he's like a pimp and his bodyguard.
Yeah.
And the bodyguard is like a big, huge, buff black guy. And the priest is like, I don't even know what he's supposed to be, but he's like just a skinny guy.
Yeah, he's like a club owner.
Yeah, he like runs.
Yeah, he's like a club owner.
Visit and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And so every time in the dub, at least when they're talking, it's like pretty super stereotypical. There's also like a Latina woman who's part of the police station.
Seems to be another detective, I would say.
There's like her and like another white woman who are the two detective ladies that are like the two primary like researchers. They like look up everything, and they like get Kay and the other police officers and detectives information that they need.
Yeah, I think they only go out on like one mission in the whole show. They have like one side part where they step away from the desk and go take care of something and then come back. But
yeah, so basically the point I'm trying to get to is that there are lots of times when like the characterization of some of the people was like kind of like head tilting of like, that's like, is there a point to this?
Yeah.
The thing I thought that was interesting though, that and Bright is like a perfect, I mean, this is basically Bright the anime, because this show takes these people who are different, and everyone refers to them as aliens, which is like the slur in this universe.
Yep.
And that's basically like a symbolism of racism in our world.
Yeah.
And
I would say that it's actually more explicit than that. Like, there are multiple moments where Talarna says that's racist. Like it's almost like instead, like, you know how sometimes it's just a symbolic thing. This show like took it to the next level and was like, no symbol.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You
guys are racist against people from the other dimension.
Yeah. And it's like similar to what Kenny was saying, where it's like a basic buddy cop movie. And I've seen this trope so many times before where they partner two cops from completely different backgrounds that hate the other side. But as they work together, they learn more about each other. And then they, become, they go through a whole character arc and they have different perspectives of people that are different from them. And this was essentially that. Kay starts out, he's like doesn't care / doesn't like aliens in this world, Samanians,
right?
Because they killed his partner, so he already has that kind of vendetta against them.
And he fought in the war. He fought in the war against Samani.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the show like built him up to like, okay, he doesn't like these people, and then when you see him partner with Talania, you're like, okay, this will be pretty interesting. So it wasn't anything new. It was all pretty, predictable as far as, how their relationship would grow and who they would be at the end of the show. Watching, it was an easy binge. I enjoyed it for what it was. I'll probably never watch it again.
Yeah.
But I also agree, like the middle part, there was just like random like one-off episodes where they had like their own like mini plot.
Mm-hmm.
They provided some kind of character progression for Kay and Talarnia.
Yeah, you've got like
kind of
4 mini plots, right? You've got like the vampire mini plot, the cat plot, there was like a subplot about
is that the one you hated, Jerry?
Yeah, we'll talk about the cat.
You hated
the politics. Then there's the politics subplot, and then there's the sort of well, I would count that as part of the politics subplot. I guess there was really only like 3 that happened in that middle. Or no, there was also the car one, where she's learning to drive.
Oh yeah.
The car, the cat, the politics, and the vampire. Those happen all in the center, while Zalata kind of takes up the first 3 and last 3 episodes as a whole. So
yeah, and this whole, all 12 episodes are based on 6 light novels.
Yeah,
which I don't know how long typically a light novel is. I'd assume not that long.
I wouldn't be surprised if this only adapts 1 or 2 of them. I don't know I might be able to find it, but I would be surprised if this adapts all 6 of them.
Yeah, because I bet that would make sense if the whatever the guy's name, Zalarda or whatever, is like the last or like the second to last light novel, and those episode one-offs are just like super summarized versions of the remaining light novels.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I liked it. It was meh. I liked it much more than Log Horizon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all the opinion I have of it.
Right. I think that okay. The big thing
Jerry, your turn.
Yeah, I was like, I think the big thing about the show is I went into it with way low expectations. It's a shitty anime studio based off of a very, very not popular light novel. Most likely, we're probably only going to get these 12 episodes ever. I can't imagine this anime was super popular. Doesn't seem to have really hit a lot of boards. There wasn't really a lot of buzz about it. I don't imagine they're going to come back for another season. If they did, I'd be surprised.
It's only on Hulu too, right? Which is kind of weird.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, over the last over 10 years, only 6 light novels have even been made for it. And those don't even conclude, it's still considered running. So there might be more coming. I think that most likely this is probably all we're going to see of an animated version of Copcraft from my understanding. And I think because that you can kind of ingest it and just be like, okay, this is it. And I think that actual ending of the anime, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think that if you just look at it as one 12-episode story and move on from that, I actually thought it wasn't half bad. As like
I'd agree with that.
Knowing that there's more out there, I'm kind of curious, but overall, cool with it. 12 episodes, probably won't. If they made another season, I might actually watch it. Don't know. I wasn't as invested, I think. But David, I think, hit it really on the head in that, like, this is a stereotypical buddy cop show that uses a lot of standard tropes that we're all used to that come from American and Japanese things and mixes in the one, like, little sprinkle it gives us, and David and Kenny didn't really touch on this, is that the buddy cop is an anime waifu. Like, that is just that's her persona. Which is something that's not in Bright. I don't know where that is, but they're like, let's take a literally hardened cop and that goes through legitimate, like, there's a pornography scandal, car stealing, drugs, all the stuff that comes with buddy cops and cop movies and cop plots, and let's just toss in a little dash of ecchi, a little dash of lolly, a little dash of that. Let's just toss that in there. And that's Copcraft. I mean, just to put it up front,
you're not wrong.
That's what Copcraft is. It's just a little sprinkle of that little weebiness that we all love, that little naivete, that little beauty, that comes with that. And the whole show is centered around how can we make Talarna more of a waifu. There are so many moments that people, she's badass, she kicks demons' butts, she's got sick armor, she transforms, she's got a super sick sword, she's cutesy, she's huggy on Cecil, she loves Kay, but like a brother, all these little moments. And that's what it was. It was cop show plus anime weebiness. And honestly, it worked way better than I ever thought it was going. It went in with low expectations, came out pleasantly surprised and impressed. Despite the 3D animation, the 2D animation looked good.
Pretty good, yeah.
The music overall, I thought the show was scored well. David, what do you say?
Yeah. I was going to say, I do wish the animation was more to what... Because if you look at the cover, if you Google the cover of Copcraft...
Kind of realistic.
The cover art looks really good.
Yeah.
So I saw this after finishing the show because I'll usually finish something that we discuss and then I'll research it after that. And when I saw the cover art of the light novel, I was like, damn. I really wish the animation was more like this.
Yeah.
Because the animation is like very like typical, like not bottom of the barrel, but like maybe a level above that type of animation. It's got a bit of
a grittiness, a bit of a squareness to it that I think I like. But you're right, the original art from the light novel is almost it's like
more realistic.
It feels more comic booky to me is the word I would use. Like almost sort of like American comic book-esque. It's got a bit of that grittierness, the full color aspect to it as well, kind of gives that comic book feel, while Copcraft kind of simplified it to more of anime standards, the anime did at least.
Yeah.
But I still think a lot of scenes, especially some of the fight scenes, the magic, really well animated, actually, and well directed is the word I would use. For a director who came off Berserk, which is not good, really well directed. The fight scenes were paced well, they had great action sequences. And for the most part, I felt like there was weight to the action sequences. Like I really felt like Talarna and Kay were disposable, that they could actually get hurt and potentially die. There were moments where I was like, I'm not sure, and I like that in a story. I don't want to know that our main characters are just going to win all the time. Knowing that they could potentially lose, I felt that. I felt like that was actually possible, especially because the show, it happens. The first scene is them losing. And I think that is a trope that, when used well, can give some levity to the plot. You actually feel like there's... and then also, there was a character they introduced, if you remember this, the vampire kills like a kind of like talkative character for the first half. The vampire actually murders a character. And that's 3 episodes in, and you go, wait, another character just died? And then in the back half, the politician that they were building up, dead. Just dies again. You have another character that just dies. And because of that, you actually are a little more invested. I was like, oh shit. I was like, they might actually die. There's some more brevity here. I think that one thing that this series tried to do, and I think David touched on it, that it didn't kind of work, is this show tries to introduce a diverse cast in an attempt to play on the themes of races, traditional themes that are going on in America actually today, which I think is really interesting. But worldwide, there's an impact there. And I unfortunately think that the author, potentially because of a cultural problem, maybe missed the point. I think that most of the attempts the author was making, the director of the police department was a black guy. The two female detectives, one of them being a woman of color. There were a lot of attempts made by the author to include a diverse cast of characters, and I don't think he completely messed it up. I think that there were, if it's a he or she, I don't know. I don't think the author completely messed it up, but I do think that they missed the mark a couple times.
Right. I really liked the characters were diverse. They weren't like just a ton of other guys in an office.
Oh yeah,
but
one of the detectives is gay too, openly gay.
Yeah, I liked Ivan and Tony as their partnership, their little, and I liked that everybody was in little pairs and because they all each had partners in the office.
It's a police department, And I thought it was cool. They were detectives in a police department. I thought that was really cool. It still kind of carries that weirdly enough, I just watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which maybe viewers won't know. But there were some, I was like, wow, like they captured sort of an American detective sitcom in some ways in the show that I wasn't expecting.
Wish they expanded upon it more.
I do
on those characters.
I wonder how much more the light novel gives you more expansion, because I'll admit the show was pretty hyper focused on Kay and Talarna. You get little bits and moments with the other characters, but really this is the story of Kay and Talarna and how they overcome sort of their bond or their circumstance to become bonded. You know, it's the buddy cop film, the fish out of water. How do we get
whenever they sent Tony in to buy the pornography?
I loved that.
That was so funny.
He played a character. He like totally changed his voice. I love that so much. Such a great moment. And the big thing that I have to give credit to the anime director and maybe the writer of the light novel is there were 2 or 3 scenes that I looked like as reading them was like, this is very well crafted dialogue for a show that I kind of had low expectations for. There were some pretty well crafted reflections on race relations that I wasn't expecting from a show like this, if that makes any sense. There was the first scene. There's a scene between Kay and Talarna in his apartment early in the show that I really liked. That was a really strong scene. And a scene later in the show where they're in the car talking about racism specifically, and Talarna's having this reflection about how most people won't treat her poorly because the way she looks very human. But some people don't have that what'd she say?
That privilege, I guess.
Privilege. Yeah, she says that, and Kay acknowledges that's just the case with some. It was a pretty reflective conversation that I was like, the fuck show am I like? Didn't she just shit in a litter box as a human being? You know what I mean? Like that. I was surprised that I could watch the show where she switched bodies with a cat, pulled her underwear down, and I guess she peed in the litter box.
She peed in the litter box.
Human being, Catwoman peed in the litter box.
Shit doesn't exist in anime, okay?
One episode before that, and then the next episode, they're having this reflective conversation on race relations that seemed poignant. I would use the word poignant. I think that there was some dialogue that was actually really impressive. Is the best word. Snuck into this pretty subpar cop plot. You've got a couple reflections on race that were well done. So I think that's something that I really have to give Copcraft credit for. It did something that surprised me, is the word I would use. Because
better than Bright, okay.
Oh yeah, I think that they actually knocked that. Yeah, I think they knocked Bright out of the park with the aliens or fairies, the mythical creatures being an analog to race, and I think it was even cooler because there are also black people in the series, and Talarna and the police detective, the chief of police, have the chief of police doesn't really like aliens either, Somanians, and they kind of have a couple back and forths where the black guy's like, "Don't talk to me about racism, like I'm black," and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh shit." So we're still
like, damn, that still exists in this world.
I was like, there's some really great, again, just sneaky dialogue that surprised me for a light novel adaptation that I thought was pretty impressive. Aside from that, we got to talk about the one jarring issue with the show. It was episodes, I believe, 8 and 9. All of 8 and part of episode 9, which is probably my least favorite thing that happened in this whole show. And Talarna discovers a magical rod that switches her body with Kay's pet cat. And the body of her human adult body, 18-year-old body, is now a cat. And she is now stuck inside of the body of a cat for about 35 minutes of this show. That is the plot. And the whole plot is literally got to get my body back. So they chase after the rod that was thrown in the trash. And it must have been, I don't know what we gained from that other than etchy, and it was
reason to see her in her panties.
Pure fan service.
In a litter box.
And it was pure fetishy fan service. I was like, I don't want to watch this 18-year-old Talarna piss in a litter box animated. I'm like, I don't want that.
And she's actually 26.
She's 26 in Somanian years, 18 in Earth years. I don't know what the hell that means either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That was another weird thing. They didn't really explain why Somanian years are different. So whatever that means. So she's supposed to be, she's an adult, beside the point.
Right.
A grown adult. but it's still just a strange.
She's a full-grown knight, like.
Yeah, she's a fully grown adult.
Pissing in the litter box.
Yeah, so you get this full-blown scene where she legitimately like pulls her panties down and like sits in the litter box and like takes a piss. And
the cat does it.
I was like, they could have implied that just happened and had her freak out. Did we really need
No, Jerry, I prefer to see it. I needed to see it. I can't picture it.
We got a full-blown like shot of her legs as her panties fall down, a full-blown shot of her ass as she like squats into the litter block.
Okay.
Someone in the studio animated that, Jerry. Someone drew that out.
A grown man got paid to draw this and animate
Let me ask y'all something though, okay? Earlier in the show, the vampire had her titties out, and she just walked around, and they just didn't draw the nipples. But for some reason, to Larna, we have to like white out her vagina. Like,
yeah, vaginas are worse than titties, Kenny.
But I'm saying that the titties didn't have any. Like, there were no titties drawn on there. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
what if vampires just don't have nipples?
What if she had like a little Barbie doll, look under there?
Kenny, come on, man. You know that Japan, they're okay with titties on TV. They aren't okay with vagina. That's like they draw the line. You can have as much titties
no
as
dicks,
you want.
No dicks.
Yes.
Dicks are blurred out.
No dicks, no vagina, just titties.
Also, Kenny, you said that there's no shit in anime. There's shit in JoJo's.
There is.
I do always have to forget. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Kakyoin feeds shit to a baby.
Baby diaper, dude. Oh my god, that's so nasty. But yeah, I think that was the sort of the one thing I didn't love about it. And I'll admit, the rest of the plotting it wasn't great. I mean, you've got some really cool action sequences. The characters have good motivation. But overall, it's just it was very straightforward. It was a really straightforward show. It's a buddy cop show. Yeah. They do some fun stuff.
This type of show is it's like the perfect recipe for like they can literally do anything. A plot could be anything with this type of aesthetic. Mm-hmm. So,
and that works for a light novel, I bet. But okay, boys, I think we actually touched on everything in this show.
Yeah. There's not much else.
Yeah, pretty simple
honestly.
Show. Boys, any other closing thoughts on Copcraft? I will say
no. That's really
my only closing thought is that if you're bored, you want to watch a buddy cop show with a little bit of anime ecchi snuck in, give it a shot. It wasn't boring. It was a little bit poorly paced. Kenny mentioned that in the beginning. It had some pacing issues. It had some sticky animation. But the dialogue was overall pretty good with a couple really good scenes. The action and fighting sequences, pretty well done.
Cool.
And some of the plots were fun. None of them were like lame or boring. I liked that the character of Zlata, his motivation was cool. I liked Talarna and I liked Kay. They were fun to watch. The side characters were not boring. They all seemed interesting and seemed pretty fleshed out. So you've got a pretty good little tight plot. And also it feels wrapped up even if it really isn't. They did a good job of like wrapping up that one story arc that they started at the beginning in the end of it. So good little 12 episode package. You can kind of watch in an evening or two. And not a bad little show. So, all right, boys.
I think one thing that I'll mention that I'll just echo that you mentioned, Jerry, is that the dialogue, especially so with today's, with what's happening in the world, with what's happening in our country, the show echoed a lot of similar things that were happening, like riots, a lot of race relations, using some audience as a substitute for as a metaphor for racial unrest, and a lot of the conversations that Kay and Talania had, just a lot of random characters in the show had. They were really well done conversations. It also like the part at the end where the cop. So there was a scene where one of the cops in the station says like. Damn alien or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Kay like turns around and is like, what did you say? And like calls him out on it, which is, an example of what people have been telling other people to do more nowadays of like, if you see something that's wrong, do something about it. So we see that happening from Kay, which is like a big character progression for him to do that. And then the same cop at the end of the show is like, hey, I'm so sorry. We don't it's kind of like off screen. We don't hear their conversation, but he basically apologizes to her for what he said.
Yeah.
And so that whole like little, arc within itself. It's very relatable to what's happening now and to what's been happening. So I think, and it's 12 episodes. It's a really easy binge. I would recommend watching it. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, boys, let's give it our rank out of 10. What are we doing? Count us down, David.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
give it 6. We all gave it 6.
Hot shit, boys. Yeah, I think this is this is a perfect 6 to me. Like, it's just above average. Like, it is just above average. The music and the animation.
The music is really good.
The music and the animation help elevate it. Some of the dialogue help elevate it, but it's a pretty simple plot and nothing that you're gonna really. I can't see myself being like going out of my way to buy a Talarna. Some viewers might go buy a Talarna figure because they think she's the new waifu, but they really tried hard to make her that. But yeah, it's a 6. This is
Talarna Exadelica.
Yeah, go look her up. You're gonna fall in love if you watch Copcraft. I will admit, she was my waifu from the show. I did like her the best.
She's a waifu.
Cecil was cool.
She was the waifu?
Cecil was cool and cute. I thought she was cool.
I like Cecil.
Kay's ex. And the 2 girls that work at the place were fine. I guess to an extent. Do you remember the I guess they were like prostitutes. The prostitute that got killed, she was kind of cool. She took pictures.
Zoe.
Zoe was pretty cool.
The vampire lady, she had nice tits. She was. I'm trying
to think there's like not that many like waifus in this show, so I guess
they wanted us to love.
I guess it has to be Talarna.
They want you to love Talarna. So
they wanted us to love Talarna.
It was designed to make you fall in love with her. So it works kind of. So there you go. 6 out of 10. Perfect little right above average type of show. All right, let's jump in. No breaks. So we did it again, boys. After last week's Your Name, we decided to do another anime film this week, just to give us a little break from doing long shows. We want to just do another film.
Holy fucking shit.
Show. So we decided to watch the film A Silent Voice, which is actually an adaptation of a manga series that came out quite a few years ago. But it adapts the whole series, give or take.
Correct.
Into an anime film. The film is actually pretty long, like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So it's a pretty long movie.
Yep.
It's not short. But yeah, it's available on Netflix. I believe it came out in 2016, Kenny. Correct me if I'm wrong.
2016, 2017.
Something like that. Yeah. Silent Voice. So if you haven't seen it, check it out now. I'm going to go ahead and say that. With Copcraft, you can listen to our review and then go watch the show. With this, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to go watch the movie and come back and listen to our discussion on it, because this movie was very impactful, very strong movie, just like Your Name. Another really popular movie from that exact same time that Your Name came out. Go watch it first and then come back and listen to us talk about it, because it really well done film. But Kenny, give us our synopsis.
So, A Silent Voice, and this might be a little long because you do have to get a lot of plot points together.
You can be short. Don't go too far.
A Silent Voice is about a young man named Shoya Ishida, and he goes to an elementary school, and a girl transfers in, and actually starts. The movie starts in the future, but then we backtrack. But a young girl transfers in who is deaf. She cannot hear, and it sort of starts to put pressure on some of the kids in his class, because they're all elementary schoolers and they don't sort of understand that obviously if she can't hear whenever he's saying to open to these pages or this and that. And around Ishida, some of his friends start to get a little upset. I think that there's a small tension that builds, and then he starts to bully this girl. He starts to sort of make her the butt of the joke as to lighten his classroom mood. It's almost like you see his classmates like upset, and so he makes her the butt of the joke, and then he gets totally called out by his teacher and the principal, and then all of his classmates turn on him. He becomes the kid that gets bullied, and he totally takes it exactly how she was getting it. And then she transfers away. He stops being friends with the people that he's friends with and sort of falls into this secluded lifestyle, and eventually decides he's going to kill himself. And before he does that, he has one last meeting. He decides that he's going to find her and apologize. And then he sort of doesn't kill himself. He sort of finds this new page to turn, this new future for himself. And so the movie is kind of about his bullying and him being a bully, as well as him getting bullied and dealing with that. And, he has this sort of intense anxiety later on in the movie, and as he's an adult, obviously not whenever he's in elementary school, but he has this sort of intense anxiety that he can't look at other people, he can't look them in the eye, and they put these X's over people's faces because he's nervous to be able to see them as other people. And so it's a super beautiful movie. Please watch it. We are going to spoil it. We are going to talk about the climax and what happens near the end of the movie. But it's a great movie, and it's a good look bullying and sort of being bullied and being a bully, and how easy you can sort of fall into that trap where you're not the nice guy. You're not the nice kid, even though you're making a joke that's negative and it affects somebody negatively. And I think it does a really good job of going into that and understanding where he came from, because he's just a kid, he didn't understand sort of the adverse effects that he was having until he became much older. And I think that, and it's sort of his first, as most young adults have, it's their first sort of existential crisis with who they are as people, who you are as a human. Super good movie, a lot of really cool characters, but also like you're gonna cry. So I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely like. Holy shit! I wish you guys watched the dub. I feel like it probably would have been much more impactful because
maybe
the
I don't know. I'm curious.
Maybe I
think
try it out.
The sub wrecked me, dude.
The holy shit. Okay, so this movie, like I would give like the main theme of this movie is forgiveness. So Shoya is like
Shochan.
he was a kid, bullied, thinking it was cool, and then he ended up being the target of bullying. And like his expression is just like he's like so timid, which was interesting because when you see him as a kid, like while he's bullying, he's like so like outspoken and he's like
rambunctious,
like the center of attention. He's rambunctious, and like the second the bullying is affecting him, and it carries. I mean, you see the effect that had on him carrying into his adult years because he's like as Kenny was saying, he doesn't look people in the eye. So all the people that he doesn't look into the eyes have an X over their face. Basically everybody except for the few friends that he makes. And it's holy shit. This movie is so fucking sad. So, and Kenny, I think you mentioned this. I was kind of spacing out because I was like remembering the movie and it was like about to cry again. But
I had to take a break.
Yeah, holy shit. Okay, but so Shoya, so do they share the same name?
They're both Shoya and Shoko.
Shoko. Yeah. But they both their nickname, it's right from the open, and they say, "Oh, they both go by Shochan."
Yeah, so like we have two shows in the class now.
Yeah.
But Shoka is deaf, so she obviously has trouble hearing. And there are many times in the movies where she attempts to speak, but it's very hard to understand her.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why she's the target of bullying from Shoya, because the kids think it's a cool thing to do. And
kids target things that are different than them. There's sort of a natural instinct, like kids target things that are different or that stand out, and that's what Shoko kind of represents. Nishimiya, is that her first name, Kenny?
Yeah, Shoko Nishimiya.
Nishimiya, yeah.
Her first name is Shoko.
Shoko, sorry, yeah. Nishimiya is their last name. The Nishimiya family, Shoko. But yeah, David, go on.
Shoko, Shoya. I keep getting their names.
Yeah. You call them Nishimiya and Ishida too.
Yeah, their last names are Nishimiya and Ishida.
Yeah. Nishimiya, Ishida. I will do that. So Nishimiya, such a fucking adorable person, kid, just kind soul. Despite her getting bullied while she's a kid, she still wants to be friends with Ishida. And I think all the kids, primarily Ishida and another girl who also does a good amount of bullying to her, are jealous of
Ueno.
Yeah.
Ueno?
Ueno, I hated her, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awful person. She's basically just super jealous of what Nishimiya has in terms of attention. She's like, basically this girl who bullies her is like, why do you get all this attention? Like, why do we have to make all these sacrifices for it to be easier for you? You don't know what I've been going through. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. She's a piece of shit.
Yeah. But in the manga, it shows a little more, and it gives it. And I think that Ueno and Kawai are sort of, they aren't full on bullies, right? They aren't doing what Ishida was doing, but they're definitely as complacent as possible.
No, Ueno is definitely a full on bully. There are literal. There's a scene. She
pulled out her hearing aids multiple times.
Yeah, she did that late. That was after they already hated each other.
She did it as a
kid. As a kid.
She asked for it, and then she throws it to Ishida.
She does. You're right. She didn't yank it out of her hand.
Right.
She yanked it out of her hand, though.
Yeah, she did do, but he yanked it out of her
and then threw it to Ishida. He did, and that's when he hurt her and got the cut. Ueno is a full blown bully. Like, there was no just redemption for her.
I mean, they all bullied that girl.
They all were.
Well, Kawai is
but Ishida and the other girl, Uya, whoever her name is, like, were the two primary.
I don't think there was a single moment between Ueno and her that was not Ueno bullying Nishimiya. Like, there's not a single, like, genuine, like, I mean, there's no redemption for Ueno, at least in the film. Maybe the movie or the book did something, but in the film, Ueno, right to the very end, in the scenes where she's like, I still just can't like her. Like, legitimately, she's just a fucker. I mean, for lack of better words. Like, Ueno has no reason to dislike this woman. She has no reason to think poorly of her, to be mean to her. And is consistently a fucking bully. But that's just my perspective. Kenny, what are you saying, though?
They are a more realistic look at what a bully looks like in our world. Like, people aren't as outwardly abusive and mean, sort of like that, like Ishida was. People are more like Kawai and Ueno, where they talk about them behind their back. They intentionally leave them out and make them feel uncomfortable. They do things to negatively impact people, but they don't do them directly. Yeah. And I think that
that's kind of like, and I wasn't a part of this growing up, so I don't know how it really works, but like with girl groups, it is a lot of like gossip that happens, and he said, she said, word spreads around the school, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks this thing that isn't true about a person. We see that a lot when they're kids. There's a girl who steps up, which I thought was a boy at first, so that was like, when I saw that she was a girl, I was like, Sarah, yeah. So there's a person that steps up and it's like, I'll learn sign language. I'll be the person to, learn that so I can help, communicate with Nishimiya and, communicate for her or whatever. And then that person is then ostracized by Oya and other people with other girls within the class. And I mean, that first part of the movie just shows you how fucking toxic children can be for whatever reason that may be for. But
they instantly turn on the, like, sort of their best friend. They turn on Ishida as quickly,
like the drop of a dime.
As they were mean to Nishimiya for no reason, they were equally as mean and terrible to Ishida in just a flip. Like,
the power of social isolation and some of that stuff. I think that one thing about this film is that I would argue it's one of the most visceral interpretations of childhood mental health issues of our time. I don't know if I've watched a live action or animated film that better illustrates the impact of childhood mental health than this story did. I think that it does such a great job of, because a majority of the time when you're a kid, I think that we parents are less likely to support mental health issues, and that's why you see upticks in childhood suicide, things like that. And I think that this film is a very visceral. I'll say it right now. Trigger warning as hell. Like when you're watching this movie, because there are like multiple on-screen attempted suicides, which is like, if you're not ready for that going into this movie, like just prep yourself for that, because you have to be mentally in a good place to be able to watch that, because it's visceral. It's not. They don't really hide it in the movie that the two main characters are openly suicidal is the word that I would use.
Yeah.
Ishida and Ishimiya are openly suicidal, and that's something that just isn't done well. It's not done well in movie or films, and ever. I don't think that it ever is done well, and I think this movie somehow did it well. Did it in a way that felt. It did not feel like it was fetishizing suicide in any way. It didn't feel like it was overplaying it. I felt like it was. It managed it in a very just a very visceral way. And yeah, I mean, I was. This is the type of film that I didn't just cry at the end like I did with Your Name. This is the type of movie that I was just like constantly in tears. Like there was like multiple scenes that would just make you lose it. I mean, guys, like I couldn't talk. Like when Nishimiya's sister comes over with the footage from the Ferris wheel, and I was like so just deeply sobbing as Nishimiya is on that Ferris wheel, and Ueno's like, I hate you, you hate me, like that's just the way it fucking is, and she's trying to say, I don't hate you, I don't hate you, I hate myself. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, what do these people like? When you're 18, your social circle and your school life is so big, and this movie makes that feeling come back to you. And it's like when you're an adult, you realize like, oh, my problems were petty in high school or whatever, or my problems were petty in elementary school. Your worldview grows, but this movie just does such a great job showing the gravity in the way that we feel in those moments, the way that we feel in those moments where we thought things were really big. But, geez. And
I liked it. I liked it. Shoko and Shoya both, they were suicidal for very different reasons, Shoko, which I think that, very a lot of
reasons,
people...
But they both hate themselves. I think that was something that was like a theme. That
was also common, Yeah.
It was like, Shoko felt as though the world would be better off without her. And Shoya felt as though he was paying repentance. Like he was not deserving of the life he was given. Yeah. And those are both two very, very deep existential questions, And it was so, I don't know, it was so well told to us.
Jeez.
So well shown to us. Man, but some of them scenes, okay, this is the scene that always gets me, no matter what. I read the manga, I've seen the movie twice now. The scene where Ishida's mom comes out of she's in the hospital, she meets up with Yuzuru, and Shoko's mom and Yuzuru get on the ground and bow to her and just apologize and apologize. And he's like, and I love his mom out of any character in the movie is just a breath of fresh air. She's so wonderful. Whenever she's like, why would I spend the money that you saved up to kill yourself with? Why would you ever do that to me? Why would you tear your calendar like that? What are you thinking? And she's like, tell me never, ever, ever again you will do that. She's such a considerate and caring soul, and it sucks because it sort of shows that they're a poor family, and she really had to work all the time, and she obviously had 2 kids, and you don't see a lot of his sister at all. So you see how Ichida sort of after he disconnected from his friends at school, and his mom couldn't be around all the time, and his sister really wasn't around to begin with, he just sort of was trapped within who he was. Mm-hmm. And it's so powerful that, and I do think that since it's easier to see the perspective of Ishida, because obviously a lot of us are not deaf. I don't understand the same sort of, mental, those sort of issues as as somebody that is deaf because I'm not.
Yeah,
but
Ishida's the main character, and it's intentional because you can relate to him.
And he relates to
and
Shoko.
His experience in learning about Nishimiya's experience, and in you can put yourself in Ishida's shoes and say, "Wow!" And I think that's where the power comes from in some of this film. Finish your thought, yeah.
Well, another just really endearing part about Ishida and his mom is that whenever he meets back up with Shoko, he knows sign language, like straight up. He's fully knows it. He's like, yeah, I learned it. Like what as somebody who we got introduced to as this rambunctious kid, you sort of don't assume that he's not well studied, and it doesn't ever lean into those issues ever, like with his studies, but he did shitty things, but he is a good person. Mm-hmm. And a lot of, it wasn't even, I love the scene with Yuzuru where he's like, are you here for her, or are you here for yourself? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know what a friend is. I don't know, Mm-hmm. And whenever he starts meeting up with Nagatsuka, and I don't know, he's just so, I love that he has a questioning sort of sense of reality where it's like, I don't know the answer, but I want to find out and I want to know more. Yeah. And God,
I think a really interesting thing is that's very, I'm sure that was relatable to both of you, was super relatable to me, is that, kids do shitty things, and those shitty things, you don't really register them being shitty until obviously like in the moment you're being scolded and told like that was shitty, or you're much older and you think back to it and you're like, damn, that was really shitty.
Yeah.
And so in this movie, Ishida does a very shitty thing, and he's, he is told early that it was a very shitty thing. His mom pays a price for it. That was like really, I don't know, like if it's like a traditional or customary thing or whatever, if like you have a shitty kid that the parent of the kid that was bullied pulls an earring out of your ear. I don't know what that was about. Well, do you guys remember that scene?
It's supposed to be a scar. Sorry, it's not really it's more clear in the manga, but Nishimiya gets a scar from Shoyo pulling her hearing aid out whenever she bleeds, and so his mom mirrors her intentionally and gives herself a scar on her ear, just like Nishimiya does. And she's paying. Yeah, she's paying for the hearing aid.
Yeah, she's paying for the broken hearing aid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. I couldn't tell the way that the scene was structured. I couldn't tell if Nishimiya's mom like pulled out her earring for like, like this is what happened to my daughter. Now this is happening to you, type thing. I don't know.
No. Yeah.
But
it was just to show like that solidarity because, and that's why whenever she puts her hair in a ponytail, she wore her hair down because she has the scar in her ear. And she.
Right.
There were effects on her, as a visibly, and so her Ishida's mom, once again, maybe the best character in the movie.
Something that was really great woman underscored that I loved about this film also is that Nishimiya and Ishida are both from single parent homes, which I think that they just let that really didn't have a huge thematic impact, but it was just sort of, I think it's representative of a lot of people in the world. That had come from single parent homes. I thought that was a really powerful thing to just sort of have in there as like not a, it wasn't front and center really, but it was something that was there as sort of a reminder of the experiences that people have. But overall,
the less time you get with your parents, I think that Ishida's suicidal tendencies and thoughts came directly from the fact that he was not connected to other people.
Yeah.
After he got disconnected from his friends, he didn't have others to be around at home because
nobody
always had to work, and I think that it's similar with Shoko, how she may have her younger sister and she's connected to her. It's there's not a secondary parental influence. There's not that sort of scenario, and I think that after their grandma passes, that was out of
left field for me. I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was random for me too.
I thought it was a cool developmental piece for I think to get Nishimiya to the end scene where she tries to jump, it was actually kind of integral that happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it it worked really well, as well all I'm saying. It was really kind of out of left field, but it worked. For a character that was pretty minor, the grandma, you still felt the impact of it, and pretty impressive. But okay, so I think we've just about tore the plot and the content apart. I think that's really good. The only two things I want to say, and you guys both touched on it a little bit, so I won't go too much detail. Forgiveness and perspective. That's what this movie was about at the core of it. This is a plot about forgiveness and perspective, which I think the author, I can't assume what the author was trying to accomplish, but I would assume that they may have felt like the world is lacking of forgiveness and perspective. They decided to use this story to tell that in a way that maybe could help gain, at least for viewers, gain some of that insight that they had there. And I think that from the forgiveness front, it's this idea that in the current day and age, it's really easy to look at something someone has done in the past and to think that is who they are forever. I think that we, especially in the modern cancel culture era of the internet, we say, oh my gosh, that guy tweeted something really vile 10 years ago. They can never do anything right ever again. And Ishida's character actually is living that experience. He is in real life canceled by everyone in his class for forever, right? And that's how he feels, at least, that he feels like his whole life has been canceled because of his actions as a kid. And he feels like no matter the impact or effort he does to get better, no one will ever see him as more than that. But the storyline leads us to see that that's not the case. Ishida has... At the beginning of the film, I thought Ishida was going to be irredeemable. I went into it going, oh, wow, he really is a crappy person. The rest of the film proved me wrong. He's a character that has grown exponentially, has learned from his mistakes, and become a better person because of it. This is something that we as a world, as a society, have to learn to do better on. I think that the author was trying to get us there. I think that the author of the story was trying to say, hey, look, this is the way I see things. I think it was a really valid and a really powerful point from this film. Everyone should look at that and go, I see that, or there's something there. Ishida is a person who did bad things, but can still be a good person. Kitty nailed that line. Still be a good person, and is a good person that has done some bad things. And there are other characters there that have also done some pretty vile things. Kawaii is really tough for me to feel redemption towards. I think she is so self-centered, egotistical. She had so many moments where I was like, this bitch does not see... She did
the classic white girl tears is what I would call it.
Oh yeah,
the scene on the bridge where he
tears, dude.
Where he literally barbs every person there with just one sentence.
Yes, dude. What did he say to Kawaii? He said, "Kawaii, shut your mouth," or something like that.
He said, "Shut your mouth. You're so self-centered and you only care about yourself."
Yes, dude. She is egotistical. She's the one character I struggle. Her and Ueno, I really struggle. Because the show is about...
I can tell she was genuine.
This film is about redemption. It's about being able to live past our mistakes and to become better. But this movie is about that. But those two characters, I don't know if they made it to the other side by the end, which I don't know if the author needed them to. I think we needed to have some characters that were still learning and growing, some characters that did learn and grow. And I think that provided some brevity in the cast, especially. The second thing is this the theme of Jesus, what did I say? Perspective. Okay, so that's oh my gosh. David mentioned it like right out of his mouth from the first time he started talking. But this is a film about perspective, like at its core. We have two characters, some differences, some similarities, but some pretty key differences about the way that they live in the world. And they both hate themselves. They both want to kill themselves. They both don't think they belong by the end of the movie. They both find purpose and reason in their lives for different reasons. And it's the ability to see through the eyes of those, to have empathy towards other human beings that gets us there. The character of, what was his name? The chubby guy. Nagatsuka. Another great perspective carrying character that provided some perspective for us as an audience, but then also for Ishida to live through. Really great moment. I think that those two themes are incredibly well written here, and there's not a single wasted line of dialogue in this movie either. It is a very effectively dialogue heavy and intentionally dialogue heavy film, because these are characters living in a very real world, a very reality based world. There is no supernatural at play in this movie. There's nothing supernatural. This is an incredibly real film. I think I was expecting a bit of an anime goofiness or some sort of supernatural element, but not at all. This is rooted in pure reality, right down to the final scenes where they jump over the edge. They're not saved by some mystical force. He falls and goes into a fucking coma. And,
and he genuinely almost dies.
And that's the way things would happen.
Yeah, this could be a live action.
I love I love that scene too, because she didn't hear him because of the fireworks, right?
Yeah.
Like she can hear slightly, right? She has hearing aids and can hear things, but isn't great. And then whenever he says, just today, just 1 more ounce of strength, give me just a little bit more, God. I'll start tomorrow. I swear to you, I'll make things right and I'll do better. And I love that scene, because then as soon as he tries to follow through on those promises, he's like, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. This is painful for me, even still, after I begged and I pleaded to save my friend's life. I still feel uncomfortable. I still am not capable of apologizing the way I want to. And, he had a very true moment of dread and grief before, because he wanted to save his good friend. And he still couldn't overcome everything that was inside. And it took his friends. And I love the scene in the bathroom with Nagatsuko whenever he finally goes back to school. And he's like, I heard you were in here and I love you and I miss you. And I can't, I'm so happy to see you and be here with you. And you're like, Nagatsuko, you were just so nice and considerate of him. And it's, and it takes that help. Or whenever he tells Nishimiya, like, hey, I have trouble looking at people in the eyes. And she's like, well, I'll walk for you. You just, and he's like, okay, I can do it, actually. Like, because he becomes embarrassed, he's capable of pushing past, what his comfortability is. And
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Just poof. Y'all, like this movie, I'm saying it right now. The fanboys can fight me. I liked this movie better than Your Name.
Better than Your Name. Yep, I did too.
I think it was a better movie.
I did too.
I think it was better plotting. I think it was better writing. I actually think it was better animation. Fight me. I think it was good. I think it was just such a great movie. And I genuinely think it was a better plotted film than Your Name. Your Name's fun. It's fantastical. It's got, we talked about it. It's a masterpiece. This was jarring, gripping, visceral, dark, a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm okay with that. Like, I walked away going like, I needed to cry like a baby for 2 hours, and that's exactly what happened. And Jesus,
this was like much more emotionally charged than Your Name. I think this was the first time, probably the first time ever, that I not only was close to sobbing, but like my chest hurt after watching it, because I was like trying not to sob.
Yeah.
That's just like how powerful the emotion was in the movie.
Oh my god.
And like I mean, I don't know anyone that's deaf, or I don't know if you guys know anyone that's deaf, but like
no.
But like we were saying earlier, like we lived that through Ishida of like how we would handle that situation, like what that experience would be like, and just like seeing what Nishimiya went through throughout her life, and like the very end where she tries to commit suicide because she sees herself as unimportant or like as a burden in everyone else's life. It's just so movie's so fucking sad, so
sad.
Okay, this is something I only noticed now on my second watch through after reading the manga and everything. There are 3 times where Ishida and Shoko almost clasp hands, and they just don't. They barely miss, and it's almost like it intentionally shows us that they're not quite there. They're not quite connected. They're not quite at the level that of understanding.
He catches her,
and finally he grabs her hand.
He catches her. Shit.
And it's like,
damn,
that's a good catch. I caught it once. Now that you say that, one of the scenes where they almost clasped hands. I can't think of the other.
They almost sort of
when they're standing on the bridge before she jumps in the water. I like clearly remember that them almost touching hands in that scene, but I can't think of the other ones. But that's a good catch.
And obviously, a lot of jumping off of things occurs, and
guys,
okay,
so I we did it with your name, but I guess I don't know, the animation, art, pacing, just all fire, right? Like Dave's like, I'm already ready. I mean, yeah.
Yes, it's not a surprise. This
was good.
One more final thought on the movie.
Yes.
I love what they did in the absence of dialogue. So often, the absence of dialogue was more important than having words happening. And I think that if you can do that in a movie, it's really something special. If you can do that in a TV series, or if I am totally enthralled and there's absolutely nothing being said, just what is being communicated with the characters' faces and what's going on in a scene, that's really good storytelling. And I really appreciated it in this movie. The absence of dialogue in so many scenes, especially to sort of obviously mirror the fact that, Shoko is deaf and she can't hear things. But sometimes there was more we could learn from not hearing things than there was from hearing things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great way of telling this story in particular. And it's telling stories in general through the visual medium. Mm-hmm. Communicating without words is really, really special. And obviously the line that the movie leaves us on, what is the color of voice? And, and coming to that understanding. And I think that, which is the perspective thing, and coming to the perspective of what somebody else views as the color of what a voice is, that's important. And coming to understanding each other as individuals, as, people, is important.
Yeah.
But
jeez,
something that we didn't mention that I want to bring attention to: the animation of how they animated the signing was so cool. I don't know sign language, but they actually animated the signing.
I wonder if it was partially rotoscoped. I couldn't tell, but I wonder if they used some rotoscoping where you.
Is that like mocap?
Yeah. You record someone doing it, and then you draw over over it with animation cells. Oh. So I'm curious if they used some of that for this. I'm not sure.
Probably.
I'd imagine they were, because it looked very good. The sign looked really, really good. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they used some of that. And the only other last thing is one of the uses of music, because Kenny mentioned it. God, we could probably gush about this movie for a lot longer. We've already talked about it for almost an hour.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
This is the music. When something really emotional happens, there's a scene. I'll never forget this. They use the music, and there's feedback intentionally planted in the music, as if her hearing aids are being stuttered by her emotions. And I lost it. I was like, holy shit! I was like, that's intentional. And you could notice there were these kind of breaks in the music, and I was like, whoa, what a strange small thing that I almost missed as I was watching it, but I caught it, and I was like, this is crazy. Nobody pays as much attention to the layers between the music, the animation, the dialogue, all coming together to paint this picture. It's such a realistic and beautiful picture that it painted. So, okay. Scores?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
This is
perfect.
The first perfect
I have to give. Amazing.
If there's one anime movie you got to go sit down, put your phone off, and watch. Your Name was great. 9 out of 10 for me, but 10 out of 10 for some people here. Your Name was great. It's a great movie, and you have to watch it. A Silent Voice is maybe one of the more important pieces of anime literature I've seen in a long time, and I can't express it enough. I'm wordless. I put my phone down at the beginning of this film, fully expecting to check it halfway through, and I didn't pick my phone back up until the closing scene, essentially, till the finale. Like the wrap up scene. You know, I couldn't be pulled away from this movie. It was it's captivating, it's visceral, it's emotional, it's a wild ride. 10 out of 10 from the boys here at the Uncensored Anime Podcast. You got to go watch this shit.
You got to see Silent Voice.
You got to go watch the Silent Voice. You got to go. Although I will say, the whole movie, I seriously thought the sister was made up, and that his mom had like a bastard child with that guy. The whole movie, I was like, are they just lying? Are they just messing around?
It was weird because they like showed him
mom,
like. Wait, it was weird because they showed him in like the opening montage, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" And they don't show him. It's like halfway or like 2/3 of the way.
Here, let me give you some manga insight. Okay, him and his sister have a disconnected relationship. She got pregnant whenever she was 17 and had Maria. Mainly,
so
the reason that's such a disconnect is, I guess, one of her early boyfriends he beat the shit out of Shoya after she broke up with him, out of anger. In the manga, he gets the shit beat out of him by one of her ex-boyfriends. Whoa. And so it's like there's sort of this divide that occurs between him and his sister. And I like that Pedro and Maria are more important characters than his sister is, because they're he has a little bit more of an interaction with Pedro in the manga, and it's just like he's more connected to those people than he is to his own sister.
Right.
And, and also in the manga, there's a brief epilogue. The last 6 or 7 chapters are epilogue chapters. It does go into a little more detail about each of the characters, and it gives us a lot more inside of Ishida's head, which I don't know if... I think that it's good knowledge to have, and both mediums are, I think, 2 separate things altogether.
Yeah.
And I'd like to disconnect them because it sort of tells a little bit of a different story in the manga. Because we get what's inside of his head. Whenever he meets Shoko, he calls her an alien, not of this earth. And how do I understand? There's no way I can understand this alien who's invading our classroom, which we sort of see, but it's not that clear. And I think that
right.
And we get a lot more of the other characters. The red-haired boy, Kawai's friend, he gets more screen time. He doesn't get very much in the movie. Sahara,
he just comes out of nowhere.
She gets a lot more screen time in the manga, and each of them sort of, it sort of tells about what they want to do and the careers they're interested in. And
I honestly think
this is movie...
Oh, Kenny, finish your thought.
This is a coming of age story for every character, not just Ishida. And I really appreciated that. And they're all supposed to be like seniors in high school. They're not, as in most anime, they're not freshmen or anything. They're seniors in high school. They're about to be.
Nishimiya just turned 18.
Yeah, they're about to graduate. This is their last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. And honestly, I wonder if the anime is actually just better than the manga overall. I bet it is. I haven't read the manga, but I bet the anime just accomplishes. It's tighter, a little more condensed. Maybe we didn't need all that info, but it's just funny.
The manga's still good. I'd recommend you read it check it out.
I thought Ishida, the girl was like his little sister from like an illegitimate child that the mom had or something. I thought
no, Maria.
Just funny. Yeah. It was like a funny little thing. The whole time I was like trying to decipher. I was like, what is happening here? Okay, beside the point. Great.
Yeah, I remember we even texted her. We were like, "Who's that girl? Like,
who the hell is that?" Yeah, it was
whose daughter is happening?
That? Okay, boys. Kenny, let's take it home. What's our Unraveled?
Okay, this week.
Unraveled.
Sometimes shonen manga just needs to end. Okay. This week we're going to talk about a bit of a weird one. It's called Cage of Eden. Okay, Cage of Eden. A plane crashes on a deserted island, and then you think it's going to be a little Lord of the Flies. No. Then a prehistoric creature attacks their plane and starts killing people, okay? And so then our characters begin to fight these prehistoric creatures, and there is a Lord of the Flies aspect to it. There are different groups, and they do, they find out how to live on this island, and then, you get... one of the main characters has internal bleeding, and so they have to find this doctor, and this doctor, because he's a doctor, is taken over this huge settlement and is like sort of enslaved these people, but then it turns out he's not a doctor. Different guy's a doctor. They end up doing the surgery. But let me tell you something, okay? You think this is this weird prehistoric romp, but they've been leaving these little mysteries and Easter eggs on this, because this island has these structures that are very much man-made. They think that they flew into the past, but maybe they're not in the past because there are a lot of man-made structures on this island. No. Guess what? The main character's mom saw the future. They actually went 1,000 years into the future, and his mom saw them on this island and had all of these structures created just for them. Because the final structure that they find is a huge apartment complex. And they just start living on the island. I'm not joking. This is how the manga ends. His mom had a future vision of the kids from his class that disappeared, living on this island, and so she has these structures made for them to habitate this island. And you just are like, what? There's like because one of the girls on the island is like a rich man's daughter, and so then the mom contacts this rich man because his daughter disappeared, and she's like, listen, I saw the future. They're all going to end up on this island in 1,000 years, so we're going to spend all this money to make it for them. And it's just so fucking stupid, and it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it sounds
that sounds like shit. That sounds like that sounds like a shitty anime loss.
It sounds like an attempt at some allegory and some metaphor there that maybe falls a little flat, is what it sounds like.
It made no sense.
That's wild.
Like there's like a hangar for like planes or something. And then, so the main marker, the first one they find is it's a gravestone for all of the people that are on the island, because they thought they died, but nope, they got shipped in the future because his mom saw the future because she's magic.
Wow.
There's no magic in this show. Not once is there any magic. Yes, there are prehistoric creatures on here. I don't know why the fuck why. I think they were like testing them or some shit because she saw those creatures in her vision. They had to genetically modify and engineer these creatures to be on the island.
Jeez. All right, boys.
Sometimes shonen anime just needs to end. Cage of Eden's fucking weird, but there are a lot of cool characters and some big titties.
It's only a manga, right?
Only a manga. There's some big titties. The main girl.
Start calling this sometimes shonen manga just needs to end because Kenny doesn't give a rat about anime. He's just about the manga life.
Wait, when was this manga made?
I don't
know. When did it run?
2008 to 2013.
2008.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking weird.
Where's the anime?
Yeah, where's the anime?
Never gonna happen. I'm telling you. I think that manga in particular.
Long, dude. It's almost 200 chapters.
Yeah, bro. It's a honestly good read, but fuck, bro. What that story makes no sense.
Ran in Kodansha's Weekly Shonen, which is, I believe, where Fairy Tail ran, right?
Yeah, the main girl's a waifu though. There's a guy, Yarai, is like he's like the bad boy, and he like runs around with the teacher, and he's like the only all these prehistoric creatures cannot be fought. They're fucking huge fucking monsters. Except Yarai beats their ass sometimes. You're like, what the fuck? This dude just beat the shit out of this.
Wait a minute. I feel like I've read the first few chapters of this manga, actually.
It's funny if you have.
It's a weird
I think I have read the first few chapters of it. I should probably. I'm gonna read it.
I feel like everything.
I'm gonna read it.
Everything that runs finish it in Weekly Shonen magazine, which is like, it's Kodansha's like little brother version of Weekly Shonen Jump to me. And people might fight me on that. I think that Weekly Shonen Magazine just doesn't produce anywhere near as many hits. But, Weekly Shonen Magazine is where you get shows like Fairy Tail. Did Attack on Titan maybe run in Weekly Shonen? Now I'm off. I'm like, what else ran in here? Seven Deadly Sins is in Weekly Shonen Magazine.
I've read a lot of things.
Vinland Saga is probably the best thing I've ever heard of to come from Weekly Shonen Magazine.
Well, Vinland Saga is a monthly.
Vinland Saga is fucking beautiful.
Vinland Saga might be one of the best. It might be the best historical manga.
Oh, you're right. You're right, Ken.
Ever
it only ran for its first 25 chapters ran weekly, and then moved over to their monthly manga.
It's better as a monthly.
Yeah, it probably works better as a seinen too. It looks like it moved from a shonen to a seinen manga.
It was
all right, boys. Should we wrap up?
We need to wrap up. Yep, let's wrap it up. Okay, so.
But what are we talking about next week, Jerry?
Next week. Okay, so guys, we've been going back and forth. It's my turn to pick the anime for the week. So here's what we're gonna do. Because I had some options at hand. we are going to watch My Love Story. We're going to switch gears into a shoujo. We haven't done a shoujo, a full-blown shoujo. Technically, Banana Fish was a shoujo. We're going to do a full-blown shoujo. We're going to watch My Love Story.
Banana Fish was a shoujo.
Technically, Banana Fish is a shoujo that had shonen elements. It's part of what made it interesting. This is My Love Story is a full-blown shoujo. It's all on Crunchyroll, I believe. So if you want to watch it this week, before we do our episode next week, go check out My Love Story. We also will probably be covering the first season of The Promised Neverland, depending on if David can finish it in time in tandem.
Yes, so, I will.
Kenny and I have both watched The Promised Neverland. It's only 12 episodes on Crunchyroll, so we'll probably be chatting about that as well next week in tandem with our My Love Story conversation. The Promised Neverland is a hit weekly shonen anime that is coming back actually for a second season early next year, and just finished up as a manga earlier this year, I believe, right, Kenny?
Yeah,
manga finished up just earlier this year. So it's a really popular series, and we would love to talk about the first season because it's a mass. I'm not going to say my opinion yet. It's a good watch. So definitely check that out if you want to chat with us next week, boys. So
that's exciting. I'm excited, boys.
My Love Story, Promised Neverland next week on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. Other than that, guys, any closing thoughts?
Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to our channel for all of our future episodes. We appreciate all of the love and support.
Yes.
We don't. I personally don't care if we get 10 views an episode, as long as someone's listening and liking what we say. Then hey, bada bing, bada boom, we doing our job. So
yeah, absolutely. Definitely check us out. We are on Instagram and Twitter, the Uncensored Anime Podcast. We're not on any listening platforms except for we do have the first episode up on SoundCloud. If you would like to listen to that, we hopefully we'll try to expand this to more audio centric places soon, but we have not yet. So thanks so much for checking us out here exclusively on YouTube at this point in time. We are definitely making this as more of a video podcast since we're doing the video. We'd love for you to be checking out the video versions, but obviously it's not a necessity. So we do want to get some audio versions of our podcast out there eventually, very soon. So, but yeah, other than that, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Thanks for being here and continuing to check back in, sub up, and comment and like and participate with us. You know, we love talking about anime, so that's what we do. Other than that, guys, let's hit them with it. Peace.
See ya.
See you later.
David said see ya. Okay. Bye, guys.